The Predator stars Boyd Holbrook, Jacob Tremblay and Olivia Munn and is directed by Shane Black. After a young boy accidentally activates alien technology that prompts the return of our favourite hunters in the universe, the Predators, only a ragtag team of ex-soldiers known as the Loonies and a biologist can save the human race. This is now the fourth film in the Predator franchise, believe it or not, and of course I'm not going to count the AVP series because the less said about that series, the better, right? But here we are, 31 years later, and of course it all started back with the first Predator film back in 1987. And look, I think that's a fantastic film. I'm a real fan of that first Predator movie. If I had to sum it up quickly, I would say that the original Predator movie has great characters, fantastic creature design from Stan Winston, who designed the Predator creature, and of course exciting action sequences. And also what's really important here, I think, is a relatively simple, straightforward screenplay. Now, Predator 2 and Predators, I believe, are an okay watch, but they are definitely plagued by problems, I think, that separate it from that great original movie. So when The Predator was first announced a few years back, I did get excited because I found out that Shane Black was actually helming the project. And I am a fan of Shane Black, and I thought that, well, if anybody could really recapture some of that magic from the first film and bring it into a new project, it would definitely be this guy. So the question is The Predator more like the original, or is it more like the sequels? And unfortunately what I have to say is that The Predator is more like the sequels here, in that we really just have a film that seems to be coming from a place of the Fox executives getting together and trying to cash in on the Predator brand, rather than coming from an organic place where a filmmaker is truly inspired to give us a compelling, coherent story. After watching this film, I'm still not really sure what The Predator is really about, other than a quick cash grab and trying to set up for more sequels later on down the road. And it's just quite disappointing, guys, because I'm a huge fan of Shane Black, and he has proven in the past to be a very talented filmmaker, giving us films like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, The Nice Guys, and he also had writing credits for the first Lethal Weapon, and also the very underrated Last Boy Scout, an action film from the 90s, if you haven't checked that one out. And in those films, there's just a lot of interesting characters in those films. Three-dimensional characters, very well written, incredible backstory, and it just gives the actors in those movies an opportunity to really sink their teeth into these great characters and craft really memorable performances. But here, surprisingly, in The Predator, characterization is really limited to either a person's mental condition or their job title. And it's just disappointing because it's just so unlike a Shane Black film to have something like that. The young and very talented Jacob Tremblay tries as earnestly as he can to really scratch beneath the surface of his character Rory McKenna, but the script really does him no favours here. Fred Dekker and Shane Black just find it impossible to write this character consistently. At one moment, a fire drill inside a school really sets off his mental condition, yet later on in the film, he has no problem being around loud gunfire. Olivia Munn, as the biologist, fares no better either, as she seems to be really well trained in unarmed combat, and she's also quite proficient with guns and weapons training as well, which I don't remember that sort of stuff being taught in school. And the Predators don't really fare any better either, as they really behave quite differently from the creatures that we've known in previous films. Gone is that really, really snappy dialogue that I've come to love in a lot of Shane Black's earlier work, unfortunately. And what we have here is a lot of actors delivering their lines in a really big hurry. And unfortunately, even most of the jokes this time around don't land. And that's such a surprising thing to find in a Shane Black film. But I actually didn't laugh that many times at all. What we have here instead is we have more Predators this time around, including a super Predator. We've got Predator dogs. We've got talk of hybrids. We've got DNA fusion, scientific jargon about DNA fusion and things like that. And it's just such a messy screenplay, guys, where Fred Dekker and Shane Black throw everything into this screenplay, but unfortunately none of it sticks, as this movie never really finds its right lane to tell a really compelling and interesting story. The film moves at a breakneck speed, guys, and I've got to say, like, if this film doesn't have you asking questions about its plot, its characters, or convenient times the characters will have certain information to move the plot along for some reason, then the editing in this film will certainly cause some frustration, particularly when it comes to the action sequences. There is a Predator escape sequence in this movie that fares a little bit better in the film, but there is a lot of confusing action in this film, particularly when it comes to a nighttime jungle sequence that was apparently apparently part of a lot of reshoots that this film went through. And I got to say that if what we got on screen was actually better than what was originally shot, then I shudder to think how bad the original sequence actually went. Because I got to say, it's so confusing to watch. It's quite difficult to keep track of the location of our characters in many moments throughout these scenes. For example, at one moment a predator trips and falls into water for some reason, and after a quick cut back to our heroes, the predator is once again on top of our characters. But before you can ask how that actually happened, the movie just brisks past this moment in hopes that you won't actually notice what's going on. Now look guys, I gotta say the Predator isn't a total train wreck, okay? Alan Silvestri's wonderful score from the original does make an appearance via some themes integrated in with the new score. And as I said earlier, Jacob Tremblay, young talented Jacob Tremblay, is a real joy to watch on screen. But beyond that, it's just a silly movie, guys. The extensive reshoots and the delayed release time are really obvious when you're watching this movie, guys, because it's just so messy. The finished product on screen is just a real mess of a film. Though I'm unclear as to whether the reshoots have actually helped the movie or they've actually hurt the movie, and it's just so hard to tell because what we have here is a pretty disappointing ride unless you can go to this movie with a friend and make fun of it while you're watching, which I was fortunate enough to do. But I think as a late night stream, guys, The Predator will probably do its job, and if you're more of a fan of the sequels than I am, or perhaps the AVP series, then you might have an okay time with this. But for me, I just want to go back and watch the original. Maybe next time, Shane Black.
This motherfucker.
So guys, that is The Predator done and dusted for me. But what did you think of the movie? Did you like it? Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the film. And of course, while you're there, also let me know what your favorite scene is from the original Predator movie, because that would be fun to get in on that discussion. And if you dug this review, don't forget to flick a like and subscribe as well. And of course, more video reviews coming, guys. And I'm so sorry that the uploads have not been as frequent as they have been in the past. I've got so many projects going on at the moment, but I'll certainly get there. Until next time, guys, don't forget, a weekend watching movies is a weekend well spent. Thanks heaps for watching. Because what we have here is a film that... Oh, just one sec. Oh, they hung up.